Stars in the sky, cards in my hand, searching for signs, lost in the sand. Whispers of fate, echoes of dreams, in the dark slate, nothing's as it seems. Flip the cards, turn around, mysteries we have found. In the shadows we dance, take a chance, take a chance. Ghostly figures.
Good morning again, and welcome to the My Tarot Morning Reflection, or as I like to say, chance to take a breath. So here it's a nice rainy day in April, but it still looks nice outside. Oh man, I'm sitting here looking at my cards and they're starting to fray. It's another deck. I get attached to these decks. And when they start to fray and I start gluing them back together, it's like, oh man, I don't want to get another one. But that being neither here nor there, good morning, Maureen. I'm lamenting my deck. I'm looking at the little dog ears on here. So, but again, this is our chance just to remember to take a breath. Listening to the cards like they're the sounds of the ocean. Feet flat on the floor, butt doing the kitty dance in the seat. Our neck relaxed. Checking in with the shoulders, see where they are on the shoulder-meter. Are they up or down? So, I was just answering somebody. So it was in the messages. And, it's funny. So a lot of times when I'm doing readings, they do reflect the obviousness in the world, I'll tell you. And, but what I try and do, it's just one of these things where it's like that's why I always have an advice card. Because, man, we all know, we see the negativity. We don't need cards to tell us all about that. But, yeah, sometimes it's pretty obvious. But that's why I always try and find like that small little solution in each reading. Something that's positive that we can reflect on through the day and try and just find that little tiny positive bit of positivity solution to help carry us through the day without looking at the big picture. If we just do one step at a time. Or as somebody said, how do you eat an entire elephant? How do you eat an entire? It's one bite at a time. So, yeah. But yeah, if I let myself actually focus on the big pictures every morning, man, I'd be going nuts because I see things. And, but I figure that if one or two people get up something positive, something positive to a positive action, just one or two people in the world occasionally, then I feel like I've done something good with the readings. So that's all I'm looking for, is just one or two people doing a positive action in the world. And that will affect even the biggest picture that we see in the cards. But yeah, I see the big picture in the cards. But I think it's my purpose on Earth to try and bring the positive to it. So, let's just jump right in here. Oh, look at this. So here we are. We have our tabletop. We have me doing the shuffle. Taking that extra breath. Then what the heck am I going to do? Just what the heck? I'm going to make 3 different stacks. It's like each one's a different thread going out to the universe. Like each one's a different thought or idea. And if we believe in the multiverse, it's like each one of these is a different path, because this stack will lead down one path. This stack, a totally different conversation. Who knows where the middle one's going to lead us. And I was just sitting here thinking, it's like, you know why I could never make it as a as a typical goth? It's like, obviously I love wearing black, but I try and radiate sunshine. So it's funny because I always went to the goth clubs and all the other things like that. And it's like, but I never radiated the angst, I guess, to be a true goth. I just lived the lifestyle. And so with that, I'm going to take the top stack, which I like to think of as things that are right in front of us. And I'm going to do our 3-in-1, flipping each one over like they are the pages of a book. And starting with the first page. See? Starting with the first page, we have the Page of Wands. Good morning, Corinna. Good morning, Corinna Poet. Wow. I hope all is going well for you. So, when we have the Page of Wands, so court cards can what? Court cards can be us, somebody else, or just part of a situation. And cards are not male or female. They're masculine energy and feminine energy. And so some people in the Golden Dawn, when they made their decks, that instead of making pages, they made them princesses. So even Pamela Coleman Smith, if you notice, some of these cards are very ambiguous as to male or female. So, but what is the page? The page is someone who's beginning a new journey, somebody who's starting to learn something. Because a page wants to learn to be a knight wants to learn to be a king. And then wands are what? Creativity, fire, and passion. So this is us, or like I say, might be somebody in our lives, but starting something new with creativity and passion and fire. The page is the element of earth, so it's still dealing with home, health, finances, all those things that keep us grounded. So it is probably a project or something that's around our home or with people that we love, our family members. Traditionally, if you look in the books, they also say that the Page of Wands is a messenger. So take that with those, what the books say, but I see it as starting something new. Let's see. And he's actually looking over top of this card, so he's not actually seeing the Knight of Swords. So now we immediately have 2 court cards. And when I see court cards, and I get multiple court cards in a reading, it can generally mean one of 2 things. It can be like a conflict, because here we have the Page of Wands, and he's just kind of standing still, even though he's got the salamanders reflecting the wands and the fire. And here we have the Knight of Swords. And so what are knights? Knights are, in the 1500s, it's the first ones we would send into battle. And so we have this knight here, and he's looked like he's charging with it, and it's a Knight of Swords. And swords are our thoughts and our ideas. And he is just running with this idea. This may or may not be a good thing, but the question is that what is going on now? Is this, because if it's 2 different people, that's one thing, but sometimes I see the court cards as reflections of our own personality. Getting an idea and then running with it. We start out with something, and then sometimes... Jesse! Oh, well, what I do each morning, Jesse, is, or Nicole, is that I do a morning meditation. I've got like 760 videos, and I like to read for everybody. This is just a daily reflection that you showed up. There are no coincidences. There are no, everything's an omen. There's a reason why you showed up here today. And my goal is just to try and spread whatever positivity I can. But right now, this might be, when I see 2 court cards, might be 2 aspects of our own personality. So we start something with fire and energy, and then we take that sometimes and we start running with it. And sometimes we run with it without thinking. But let's see what the next card is, which is the Page of Coins. So here we have 3 court cards. And again, by this point, I like to think of the court cards as parts of our own personality. And sometimes we get these ideas and then we get all ADD about it, or we start running with them. And sometimes without thinking. But what we do ultimately is that once we come back to Earth, because as I said before, Page is the Earth element, the Page of Coins is the element of Earth. So this is Earth of Earth, where this is air of fire. So sometimes we need to run with something. We need to think that we're right. And ultimately what happens from that point, and Jesse, I think there's something wrong with, let me pull up the chat. Because I think you're saying something, but I can't tell. Hold on for 1 second. Because I want to make sure I answer anybody's questions also. I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to go back to the reading. But I hope all is well, Jess. Here we go. Nope, Jesse's just spinning there. Okay, it's not me. I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to go back to the reading. 1 second. And why I pause is just because I want to make sure I see everybody's. Again, there are no coincidences, and everything happens for a reason. And everything's an omen. So anyway, though, Jess, if you're trying to say something that's still spinning, or Nicole, I think you said your name was. Sorry about that. But main thing is that have we ever started something? We have a little bit of fire in us, a little bit of energy, and then we just run with it. And sometimes without thinking about it, we just kind of run, we let our mind go, we get this totally wrong direction. And then something brings us back down to earth. And that's not a bad thing. That's just reflecting on where we went, what we were doing. And then we have a realization. We need to, I need to stop, take a breath. And with the Page of Coins, find some roots in what we're thinking about and then going with it. But I'm going to flip over the advice card, which is the Queen of Cups. So today we have 4 court cards in here. So again, I like to think of this as that, as our own personal aspects. If these were all individual people, maybe if I was sitting down talking to somebody, we would try and connect the dots. But generally, something like this, I would still say that it's all aspects of our own personality. And the Knight of Swords is the center of everything. So the question is there something that we're running with that we really need to stop and think about? Taking a step back, realizing that maybe we don't know as much as we think, or we're not seeing things as clearly as we could because we're just letting it get carried away. Because this Knight of Swords is the exact opposite of a Page of Coins, which is rooted and standing still and calmer. So, the advice card is the Queen of Cups. Queens are the element of water. Cups are the element of water. So this is a card of water as spirituality, emotions, feelings. This is a card of introspection, going in and checking out why we're feeling. Sometimes personally, when I'm running, when I'm just like off on a tangent, it's because I am neck up. The question is that what's in our heart? What are we not listening to because we're so busy? We're running so fast. So for today, it's the idea of slowing down, because this world right now is it's the Knight of Swords. Everybody's just, we read the news, everybody gets these ideas, we run with it, whether we're right or wrong or indifferent. And it's hard to be humble as a page, and learn from scratch, because I like to be right. I love being right. And when I'm right, I love that you know that I'm right. And this knight loves to be right. It gets an idea, and he loves to let you know he's right, because he's going to run with it like you wouldn't believe. But the advice card of the Knight of the Queen of Cups. This is again letting the reality, letting emotions, letting spirituality flow through us, so that we can be humble, like the Page of Coins, and then just attach our roots and grow from there. Courageous resolve to protect the vulnerable. That's a great way of looking at it also. Especially if I was looking at it as individuals. That's really good, actually. And Nicole, you're saying, I just feel like I'm being spiritually blocked or missing a clue. Which sometimes, if I know that when I'm the Knight of Swords, I know that when I obsess on something, whether it's real world, politics, if only, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I'm running with something, stopping, and again, getting out of our head and becoming more earth-based, and then focusing more on the heart and asking the questions that we find in a breath, then hopefully the block will go through. And Nicole still says, sometimes I wonder if, like, my purpose here is to take pain away from others, even though it might hurt me more. Well, you're an empath then. That's what empaths do. Empathetic. Which, I'm an intuitive, and I like to think that I'm empathetic, which is why I do this. But we see the world for the way it really is. But, Jesse, it's a cycle. So if you do the next right thing, you get the next right thing. And taking somebody else's pain away, that's like a next right thing. But if you don't take care of yourself first, then you're not going to be able to help anybody. So we need to be number one in our own lives, so that we fill our cups up to be able to share them. So, but for today, it is about just slowing down, not running with all this information we're fed with on the internet, and instead focusing on the spirituality. So with that, thanks everybody. I hope you have an amazing, amazing day. Take care of yourself, and I will be back here tomorrow.
Stars in the sky, cards in my hand, searching for signs, lost in the sand. Whispers of fate, echoes of dreams in the dark slate. Nothing's as it